The emergency room doors of St. Michael's Hospital slid open at 2:17 a.m. on a freezing February night in Chicago. A gust of wind carried snowflakes and the faint smell of diesel from the idling ambulance outside. Jamal Carter, 14 years old, stepped inside barefoot. His oversized hoodie was soaked through, the sleeves frayed, the hood pulled low over his face. In his arms he carried a small girl, maybe 7, wrapped in a thin blanket that had once been blue but was now gray from dirt and time. Her breathing was shallow, ragged. Her skin burned hot against his chest. The triage nurse looked up from her screen. Her eyes widened for half a second before narrowing again. "Name?" she asked, already reaching for the clipboard. "Jamal Carter," he said, voice cracking from the cold. "This is my sister, Maya. She's been sick for 3 days. Fever won't break. She can't keep nothing down." The nurse glanced at Maya, then at Jamal's bare feet, leaving wet prints on the linoleum. "Insurance." Jamal shook his head. "We don't have any." She sighed the kind of sigh that said this wasn't the first time tonight. "Fill this out. We'll see her when we can." Jamal took the clipboard with trembling hands. He sat on the hard plastic chair in the waiting area, Maya limp against his shoulder. He tried to write, but the pen shook too much. The form asked for address, guardian, phone number. He left most of it blank. They had no address anymore. Not since the landlord changed the locks 2 weeks ago. No phone since the last one got stolen at the shelter. No guardian except each other. 20 minutes passed, then 30. Maya whimpered, her small hand clutching his hoodie. "Jamal, it hurts. I know, baby. I know. Just hold on." He stood up, still holding her, and walked to the triage desk again. "Ma'am, please. She's getting worse. She needs to see a doctor now." The nurse didn't look up. "There are people ahead of you. Sit down." Jamal's voice broke. "She's burning up. She can't breathe right. Please." A doctor emerged from behind the double doors white coat, stethoscope around his neck, clipboard in hand. Dr. Richard Harlan, 52, Chief of Emergency Medicine. He had just finished a 14-hour shift and was on his way to sign out when he heard the boy's voice. He stopped, looked at Jamal, looked at Maya. Then he laughed. Not a cruel laugh. A tired, dismissive one. The kind doctors sometimes use when exhaustion meets frustration. "Kid," Dr. Harlan said, shaking his head, "you can't cure anyone. You're not a doctor. You're a homeless boy with no insurance and no guardian. Go sit down. We'll get to her when we can." Jamal's eyes filled with tears, but he didn't cry. Not yet. He carried Maya back to the chair. She was shaking now, sweat soaking the blanket. He whispered in her ear, "I got you, Maya. I promise. I'm gonna fix this." He reached into his hoodie pocket and pulled out a small, battered notebook. Pages filled with handwritten notes, diagrams of cells, chemical formulas, lists of herbs and roots he'd studied from library books and free online PDFs on stolen Wi-Fi. He had been reading medical texts since he was 10, teaching himself because school had become a luxury they couldn't afford. He knew things most kids his age didn't. He knew things some doctors had forgotten. Dr. Harlan watched from across the room, shaking his head again. "Poor kid thinks he's a healer," he muttered to a resident. "Probably watched too many YouTube videos." The resident chuckled. "Yeah. Next, he'll be selling snake oil in the parking lot." Jamal didn't hear them. Was already thinking, planning. Maya's fever hit 104.8. Her lips turned blue. The monitor in triage beeped, low oxygen. The nurse finally called her back. But it was too late for standard protocol. Maya was crashing. They rushed her to the OR for emergency intubation and possible surgery, suspected ruptured appendix leading to sepsis. No time for consent. No guardian to sign. Jamal followed as far as the double doors would let him. A security guard blocked him. "You wait here, son." Jamal stood frozen. Then he did something no one expected. He slipped through a side corridor he'd learned about from nights sleeping in hospital waiting rooms. He knew the layout better than some nurses. He found scrub tech lockers. Borrowed a set too big, but it would do. Masked up, gloved up, entered the door through the back prep room. Inside, chaos. Maya on the table, monitors screaming. Dr. Harlan scrubbed in, barking orders. Anesthesiologist struggling with the airway. Sepsis spreading fast. Jamal stepped forward. "Stop," he said. Every head turned. Dr. Harlan's eyes widened behind his mask. "You get out before I have you arrested." Jamal didn't move. "I know what's wrong," he said. "It's not just the appendix. It's a rare toxin interaction from the water at the shelter. I saw the same symptoms in a case study online. She needs a specific antidote, methylene blue, for 2 milligrams per kilogram plus broad spectrum but targeted antibiotics, not surgery." "Not yet." The room went dead silent. Dr. Harlan laughed, again, this time bitter. "You're 14. You read something online? You think you can tell me how to run my OR?" Jamal looked at Maya. Her vitals were crashing. "I'm not telling you," he said quietly. "I'm asking you to listen. Because if you cut her open now, she won't make it off the table." The anesthesiologist glanced at the monitors. "She's decompensating. We're losing her." Dr. Harlan stared at the boy in oversized scrubs, then at the dying girl on his table. For the first time in 25 years of medicine, he hesitated. Jamal stepped closer. "Please, let me try." The O held its breath. Jamal Carter wasn't supposed to know anything about medicine. He was supposed to be just another statistic. Black kid. No parents, no home, no future. His mother died when he was 9, overdose in a motel room on the south side. His father had been gone since before Jamal could walk. Maya was born 2 years later from a man their mom barely remembered. The state bounced them through 3 foster homes in 2 years. The last one kicked them out when Jamal turned 13. Too old, too angry. They ended up on the streets, shelters when they could get in, abandoned cars when they couldn't. Jamal learned fast how to keep Maya warm, how to find food, how to avoid the wrong people. But he never stopped reading. The Chicago Public Library became their daytime sanctuary. He'd sit Maya in the children's section with picture books while he devoured medical textbooks from the adult stacks. Started with basic anatomy, Gray's Anatomy PDFs he downloaded on free Wi-Fi at McDonald's. Then pharmacology, pathophysiology, case studies from PubMed. He printed on the library's ancient printer when no one was looking. He wasn't playing doctor. He was surviving. Maya got sick, often colds turned to bronchitis because they slept in damp places. Jamal learned how to make makeshift nebulizers from plastic bottles and hot water. He studied antibiotics resistance from free NIH articles. He memorized dosages from pharmacology charts he drew by hand in his notebook. One winter night in a shelter, Maya spiked a fever of 103. The nurse on duty gave her Tylenol and told them to wait it out. Jamal watched her shake for hours. He remembered a section on fever management in pediatrics. He begged the nurse for ibuprofen too. She refused, not without a doctor's order. Maya got worse. Jamal carried her to the nearest ER on foot 3 miles in the snow. They waited 6 hours. A resident finally saw her, gave fluids, sent them home with nothing but a follow-up with the pediatrician. They had no pediatrician. That night, under a bridge with a tarp for a roof, Jamal made a promise to Maya while she slept. "Am I gonna learn enough so no one ever tells us to wait again?" He started stealing library books, not to keep, but to read in return. He found a community college that left old textbooks in a free bin outside. He took microbiology, biochemistry, even a surgical techniques manual. He practiced sutures on oranges he got from food pantries. He watched free YouTube lectures from Harvard Medical School, downloaded them when he could find public Wi-Fi. People laughed at him. A shelter worker once caught him studying at 2 a.m. under a streetlight. "Boy, you think you're going to be a doctor? You don't even have shoes." Jamal didn't argue. He just kept reading. Aya's illnesses kept coming. Ear infections, pneumonia scares. Each time, Jamal learned something new. He started carrying a small kit in his backpack. Thermometer, his pediatric dosing chart, he laminated with tape. A few over-the-counter meds he bought with panhandling money. Then came the water at the last shelter, contaminated lead and bacteria from old pipes. Maya drank it for weeks before symptoms showed. Abdominal pain, vomiting, fever that wouldn't break. Jamal recognized the pattern from a case report he'd read on PubMed. Acute appendicitis, complicated by toxin-mediated sepsis. He knew the standard treatment, surgery, broad antibiotics. But he also knew the toxin profile matched a rare strain sensitive to methylene blue as an adjunct to something mentioned in a 2019 toxicology journal he found online. Low dose, 4-push, could reverse the mitochondrial shutdown, causing her organ failure. He tried to tell the shelter nurse. She laughed. "You're 14. You're not prescribing anything." So, carried Maya to St. Michael's, and now he was standing in the doorway, masked, gloved, oversized scrubs hanging off him like a costume. Dr. Harlan stared at him. The monitors screamed. Maya's blood pressure was dropping fast 8/40ths, lactate climbing. The anesthesiologist spoke first. "We're out of time. We don't intubate and cut in the next minute," she codes. Jamal stepped closer to the table. His voice was steady now, tremble. "I'm not asking to run the case," he said. "I'm asking you to add one thing before you cut. Methylene blue. 2 milligrams per kilogram for push. It's in the crash cart third drawer. It'll buy her mitochondria time. Thing you can operate if you need to." Dr. Harlan's eyes narrowed. "How the hell do you even know that term?" "I read it," Jamal said simply. "In a journal. Same presentation as Maya. Same toxin. Same age group. They used methylene blue." She lived. The room was silent, except for the beeps. Scrubbed. Tech whispered. "He's right. We have it. It's off-label, but in protocol for visiplegic shock." Dr. Harlan looked at Maya, then at Jamal. The boy's eyes were locked on his sister's face. No fear, just certainty. Harlan exhaled. "Get the methylene blue. 2 milligrams per kilo. Push slow." The team moved. Jamal stayed where he was watching, not touching. The drug went in. 30 seconds. A minute. Maya's sats climbed 88 to 92 to 96. Blood pressure edged up 85/50ths. Lactate started dropping. The room exhaled. Dr. Harlan looked at Jamal. For the first time, he didn't laugh. "Who taught you this?" he asked quietly. Jamal shrugged under the 2 big scrubs. "No one. I taught myself." Harlan stared at the monitors, then at the boy who had just saved his patient without touching a scalpel. "Stay," he said. "We're not done yet." Jamal nodded. He wasn't going anywhere, not until Maya opened her eyes. The ore lights felt brighter than the sun Jamal hadn't seen in weeks. Beeps from the monitors overlapped like a frantic heartbeat. Maya's small body looked even smaller on the operating table tubes already in place. Skin pale under the harsh white glow. Dr. Harlan stood frozen for what felt like an eternity. His gloved hands hovered over the sterile field. The scalpel was ready. Standard protocol screamed appendectomy. Now cut, drain, flush, close. But the boy's words echoed. Methylene blue, mitochondrial rescue, toxin reversal. He glanced at the anesthesiologist. Vitals, BP, 82, 40 seconds. Sats, 94, after the push. Lactate, still 6.2, but trending down. She's stabilizing. Barely. The scrub tech held up the empty syringe. Methylene blue administered. No adverse reaction so far. Harlan looked back at Jamal. The boy hadn't moved closer to the table. He stayed 3 feet back, respectful distance, hands clasped in front of him like he was in church. No arrogance. No demand. Just quiet certainty. Harlan's mind raced. He had seen miracles in medicine, spontaneous remissions, unexplained recoveries, but this, a 14-year-old in borrowed scrubs, dictating treatment in his oar. If it failed, liability would bury the hospital. If it succeeded, he exhaled through his mask. Fine, we hold on surgery for 10 minutes. Monitor response. If she crashes again, we cut immediately. The team nodded. No one argued. They watched the monitors like hawks. Jamal spoke softly. Add broad spectrum coverage, piperacillin-tazobactam, if you have it. The toxin is gram-negative. But watch for Pseudomonas. Harlan raised an eyebrow. You read that too? Yes, sir. In the IDSA guidelines. It's free PDF on their site. Harlan almost smiled. Push it. The antibiotic went in. Minutes ticked by. 5, 7. Maya's color returned slowly at first, then faster. SATs climbed to 98. BP edged to 95/60ths. Lactate dropped to 4.1. The anesthesiologist let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. She's turning the corner. Harlan stared at the numbers, then at Jamal. How did you know? He asked again, quieter this time. Jamal looked at his sister. She got sick after drinking the shelter water. Tested it with strips I found in a dumpster. High lead bacteria. I read about similar cases in Flint, Michigan. Kids with sepsis from contaminated water. Methylene blue was used off-label in one study. It worked. Harlan removed his mask slowly. Okay, you're telling me you diagnosed this from library books and free articles? Jamal nodded. I didn't have a choice. No doctor would see us without insurance, so I learned what I could. The room was quiet, except for the steady beep of the monitors. Stronger now. Regular. Harlan turned to the team. Closer up. Kendrick's removal needed. Drain the fluid, irrigate, and we're done. They moved efficiently. Jamal watched every step silent, absorbing. When the last suture went in, Maya's vitals were stable. No crash, no code. Harlan stepped back from the table. He pulled off his gloves, tossed them in the bin. Then he looked at Jamal. You saved her life, he said. Not me. You. Jamal shook his head. You listened. That's what saved her. Harlan's face twisted conflict, shame, awe, all at once. He had laughed at this boy, dismissed him, called him delusional. Now, the boy stood in his oar, still in oversized scrubs, hands trembling slightly from adrenaline. The doors swung open. Security burst into guards, radios crackling. Intruder in oar 3. Unauthorized entry. Jamal froze. Harlan stepped forward. Stand down, he barked. He's with me. The guards hesitated. Sir, hospital policy. I said, stand down. Harlan's voice was still. This boy just pulled my patient back from the edge. He stays until I say otherwise. The guards backed off, confused. Harlan turned to Jamal. Come with me. We need to talk. They left the oar together. Maya was wheeled to recovery stable, sleeping. In the hallway, under the fluorescent lights, Harlan stopped. He looked down at Jamal. Really looked. The bare feet, the frayed hoodie under the scrubs, the eyes that had seen too much for 14 years. You're not just some kid off the street, Harlan said. You're something else. Jamal shrugged. I'm just her brother. Harlan rubbed his face. I owe you an apology. I laughed at you. I was wrong. Jamal met his eyes. You listened in the end. That's enough. Harlan pulled out his phone. I'm calling social services. You and Maya can't go back to the streets tonight. Jamal tensed. They'll separate us. Not if I vouch for you, Harlan said. I'm pulling strings. It's temporary guardianship under hospital observation until we sort this out. Jamal's eyes filled. You'd do that? Harlan nodded. I've spent 25 years fixing bodies. Never thought I'd meet someone who'd fix my thinking. He placed a hand on Jamal's shoulder. Come on. Maya's waking up soon. She want her brother. Jamal followed. For the first time in years, he felt something like hope. But he knew this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. Maya woke up in recovery at 5:42 a.m. The first thing she saw was Jamal's face, still in the oversized scrubs. Eyes red from lack of sleep, she reached for him weakly. "Jamal, did it work?" He squeezed her hand. "Yeah, baby, you're gonna be okay." A nurse adjusted the foredrip. "She's stable. His fever's down to 99.2. No signs of shock recurrence." Dr. Harlan stood in the doorway, arms crossed. He had changed out of scrubs into a fresh white coat. His face looked older lines deeper from the night's wait. He stepped inside. "Maya, I'm Dr. Harlan, your brother. He saved your life tonight." Maya looked at Jamal. Her eyes widened. "You did?" Jamal shrugged. "Just helped a little." Harlan shook his head. "No, you did more than help." He turned to Jamal. "Social services is on the way. They'll want to speak with both of you." Jamal tensed. "I told you they'll split us. Not on my watch," Harlan said. "I've already spoken to the director. It's temporary medical guardianship under the hospital. Maya stays admitted for observation. You stay within the room. No foster placement until we figure out long term." Jamal stared. "Why are you doing this?" Harlan looked away for a moment. "Because I laughed at you, and I was wrong. And because I have a daughter Maya's age. Hey, if she were in that situation, I'd want someone to listen to her brother." A social worker arrived at 7 a.m. as Alina Ramirez, mid-40s.com voice, clipboard in hand. She spoke to Jamal privately in the hallway. "You're 14. No legal guardian. Homeless. We have protocols." Jamal met her eyes. "I've kept Maya safe for 2 years. I'm not letting anyone take her." Alina studied him. "I've read the OR report. You diagnosed sepsis and suggested treatment." "That's extraordinary." Jamal looked down. "I just read a lot." She sighed. "Dr. Harlan is vouching hard. Hospital board approved temporary stay up to 30 days. You both remain here. I'll check in weekly. If you cooperate, we can work toward permanent placement together." Jamal exhaled. "Thank you." Alina smiled softly. "Don't thank me yet. This is a lot of trust. Don't break it." The next day is blurred. Maya improved rapidly, antibiotics working. No fever spikes. Jamal slept on the pull-out couch in her room. Hospital staff brought him meals. Pediatric resident gave him clean clothes that fit. Dr. Harlan visited every morning. At first, small talk. Then questions. "How did you learn about methylene blue?" Jamal showed him the battered notebook pages of handwritten notes, chemical structures, case summaries. Harlan flipped through it. "This is medical school level. You taught yourself all this?" Jamal nodded. "Library? Free Wi-Fi? Old textbooks?" Harlan closed the notebook. "I want to mentor you. Officially. K. Hospital Scholarship Program for Exceptional Youth. K. You'd get tutors, access to our medical library, shadowing in departments." Jamal hesitated. "Why me?" "Because you remind me why I became a doctor," Harlan said. "To save lives, not to gatekeep knowledge." Jamal looked at Maya, sleeping peacefully. "Okay, but Maya comes first. Always," Harlan promised. Word spread fast inside the hospital. Nurses whispered in break rooms. Residents shared screenshots of the OR notes. By day 3, a local news station got wind. Reporter called the hospital PR line. "Teen homeless boy saves sister in a doctor. Says he's a prodigy." The story hit local news that night. Then national CNN picked it up. Tosh tag medical prodigy trended on X. Jamal refused interviews. "I'm not doing this for attention." But the attention came anyway. Donations poured in. Hospital set up a fund for Maya and Jamal. Enough for an apartment, clothes, school enrollment. Jamal struggled with trust. He lay awake, watching Maya sleep. What if social services changed their mind? What if Harlan's kindness had strings? What if this was just another temporary home that would disappear? One evening, Harlan sat with him in the room. "You're quiet tonight." Jamal stared at the ceiling. "I've lost everything before. Don't want to lose her." Harlan nodded. "I get it. But you're not alone anymore. You're building something real here." Jamal turned to him. "You really believe I can be a doctor?" Harlan smiled. First real one Jamal had seen. "I believe you already are. The rest is just paperwork and time." Maya stirred. "Jamal," he went to her side. "I'm here." She smiled weakly. "You fixed me." Jamal kissed her forehead. "We fixed each other." Outside the window, Chicago lights twinkled. For the first time in years, the future didn't feel like a threat. It felt like a possibility. The hospital scholarship program kicked in fast. By week 3, Jamal was enrolled in an accelerated GED track through a partnership with a local community college. Tutors came to Maya's room every afternoon. Math, science, English. Jamal absorbed it like dry ground after rain. He finished high school equivalency modules in record time. College dean called it unprecedented. Dr. Harlan pulled strings for more. Jamal started shadowing in pediatrics, emergency, and toxicology. He wore real scrubs, now his size, a white coat with Jamal Carter, medical observer, embroidered on the pocket. Nurses who once ignored him now nodded respectfully. Residents asked his opinion on cases. But challenges hit hard. School bureaucracy didn't care about prodigy status. Social services required weekly check-ins. Home visits. The hospital provided temporary housing, a small 2-bedroom near campus. Maya started kindergarten first time in a real school. She cried every morning. Jamal walked her to class, then rushed back 4 rounds. Fame grew louder. A viral video from a nurse's phone leaked. Jamal explaining toxin reversal to a resident. Views exploded 5 million in 48 hours. Good Morning America called. The New York Times wanted an interview. Jamal said no to most. "I'm not a story. I'm just trying to learn." But the attention brought pressure. Hospital Ethics Committee reviewed the Orr incident. Some doctors called it dangerous precedent. Others defended. He saved a life. We'd be hypocrites to punish that. Jamal faced his first real ethical dilemma during a pediatric rotation. A 12-year-old girl came in with unexplained seizures. Standard tests, negative. Jamal spotted a pattern in her blood work: rare, heavy metal poisoning from contaminated supplements her mom bought online. He suggested chelation therapy. Tending dismissed it. Too speculative. "We stick to protocol." Jamal pushed back quietly, respectfully. "I read 3 case reports. Same presentation. Chelation reversed it in 72 hours. The attending snapped. "You're an observer, not the physician." Jamal backed off. But that night, the girl seized again, worse. Vitals crashed. Harlan was called in. He reviewed the chart, then looked at Jamal. "Tell me again." Jamal repeated the theory. Harlan ordered chelation. The girl stabilized within hours. The attending apologized grudgingly. Harlan pulled Jamal aside later. "You were right. But you have to learn when to push and when to wait. Power isn't just knowledge, it's timing." Jamal nodded. "Learning." Dr. Harlan changed too. He started a weekly unconventional cases seminar open to all staff. Jamal presented sometimes. Harlan listened. He admitted publicly in grand rounds, "I laughed at a 14-year-old genius because he looked homeless. I won't make that mistake again." Jamal's internal struggle deepened. Fame felt like a spotlight on scars. Reporters dug into his past mother's overdose, foster failures, street life, Kate lines, homeless prodigy or street kid turns savior. He hated both. One night, after a long shift, he sat with Maya in their new apartment. She was drawing him in a white coat, stethoscope around his neck. "You're gonna be a real doctor," she said. Jamal smiled weakly. "Maybe." Maya looked up. "Are you scared?" "Hell, yeah. What if I mess up?" What if people expect too much? Maya hugged him. You fixed me. You can fix anything. The first major public test came 6 months later. A national medical conference invited Jamal to speak Penala non-traditional paths to medicine. Audience, 2,000 doctors, researchers, students. He stepped on stage in a simple button-up and slacks Harlan beside him for support. The moderator introduced him. Jamal Carter, 14-year-old, who self-taught medicine and saved his sister in an applause. Then questions. A skeptical surgeon stood. Ow. Do we know this wasn't luck? Self-taught medicine can be dangerous. Jamal met his eyes. It can, but so is no access at all. I didn't have a choice. Millions of kids don't. I learned because waiting meant death. Another doctor. What if your suggestion had failed? Jamal paused. Then Maya would be gone. But I read the evidence. No, I trusted it. And Dr. Harlan trusted me enough to listen. Harlan spoke up. I almost didn't. That's on me. Jamal taught me humility. Medicine needs more of that. The room applauded longer this time. After, a young black medical student approached Jamal. I grew up like you. No one believed I could make it. Thank you for showing we can. Jamal hugged her. We're not alone anymore. That night, back home, Jamal opened his notebook. New page. He wrote, Lesson 47. Knowledge saves lives. Listening saves trust. He closed it, looked at Maya, sleeping, whispered, We're building something real, sis. Outside, Chicago snow fell softly. The city that once ignored them now watched. And Jamal, once invisible, was finally seen. 3 years passed like pages turning in one of Jamal's old notebooks. At 17, Jamal Carter became the youngest person ever admitted to Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine through a special accelerated track. The scholarship fund, now named the Maya Carter Medical Access Fund, covered tuition, housing, books, and even a small stipend for Maya, now 10 and thriving in a private school near campus. Dr. Harlan wrote the recommendation letter himself. It was 3 pages long. The last sentence read, Jamal doesn't just want to practice medicine. He wants to make sure no one ever has to teach themselves to save a life again. Medical school was brutal. Anatomy labs at 6 a.m., endless exams. His classmates who whispered the homeless prodigy behind his back. But Jamal never missed a lecture. He tutored first years for free. He started a student group, access to care workshops for underserved youth on basic health literacy. Maya came to every open house. She handed out flyers with a proud smile. My brother saved my life. He can help you too. The societal ripple grew massive. The Maya Carter Fund expanded nationwide grants for self-taught youth, free online medical resources for shelters, partnerships with public libraries for medical textbook sections. Over 40,000 kids accessed the program in its first 3 years. 2 of them were already in pre-med. Jamal's story became required reading in some medical ethics classes. A documentary aired on PBS, The Boy Who Read His Way Out. He hated the title, but he sat through the premiere with Maya and Dr. Harlan. When the credits rolled, Harlan wiped his eyes. I still owe you that apology, he said. Jamal shook his head. You listened. That's more than an apology. The full circle moment came during Jamal's 3rd year of residency. St. Michael's Hospital, same. Where it all began. A 12-year-old African-American boy rushed in at 3 a.m., carrying his 6-year-old sister. Fever, vomiting, shortness of breath, no insurance. Same shelter water contamination pattern. The attending on duty hesitated. Standard protocol, said surgery. Jamal, now Dr. Carter, was called in for consult. He looked at the boy, saw himself, bare feet, hoodie soaked, eyes desperate but determined. Tell me what you know, Jamal said gently. The boy whispered, I read online. Methylene blue might help. For the toxin, Jamal smiled. You read right? He turned to the team. Hold surgery. Methylene blue, 2 milligrams per kilogram. Piperacillin-tizum pactum. We're buying time. The attending stared. You're following a child's advice. Jamal met his eyes. I'm following evidence. I'm listening to someone who's been forced to learn the hard way. They administered the treatment. Vitals stabilized. No surgery needed. The girl opened her eyes 2 hours later. The brother cried. Jamal knelt beside him. You saved her, he said. Just like someone once saved my sister. The boy looked up. You're Dr. Carter? The one from the video? Jamal nodded. Yeah, but tonight we're just two brothers who refused to wait. He gave the boy his notebook, the original one, worn and filled with notes. Keep reading, he said. When you're ready, come find me. I'll help you get here. The boy hugged the notebook like it was gold. Later that morning, Dr. Harlan, now retired, but still visiting, found Jamal in the break room. You've just changed 2 more lives. Jamal looked out the window at the Chicago sunrise. No, we changed them by listening. Ethical victory came quietly. The hospital rewrote its access to care policy. No patient turned away for lack of guardian or insurance in life-threatening cases. Any credible medical suggestion, even from family, must be reviewed by senior staff. Jamal's name wasn't on the plaque. He didn't want it. Years later, at his graduation from residency, Mai, now a teenager, stood in the front row wearing a t-shirt that read, My brother taught himself to save me. He's teaching the world. Jamal walked across the stage, accepted his diploma, looked at Maya, and whispered the promise he'd made under a bridge years ago. I kept it, sis. We're not waiting anymore. If you're watching this right now and you feel like no one sees you, you're teaching yourself because no one else will teach you. You're carrying someone smaller than you and the world says you can't. Remember Jamal Carter. You don't need permission to learn. You don't need a title to save a life. You just need to keep reading, keep asking, keep showing up even when they laugh. Because one day the room will go silent. Not from doubt, but from awe. And when it does, don't gloat. Just save the next one. Share this story if you've ever been told you can't. Save it if you're still reading in the dark. Comment the name of someone who needs to know they're not alone tonight. Tie a red thread around your wrist if you promise to keep learning. Your patient is waiting. Your sister, your brother, your future self. Don't wait for them to believe in you. Believe in the work and let the silence speak for itself. Thank you for watching. Now, go read something new. Someone's life depends on it.